of minor flare-ups injury-wise, but they will definitely be ready for week 1. Also excited to see Cooper Rush and see how he performs in the game. He's going to get a lot more playing time this week. He's definitely 1,000% earned the backup quarterback spot over Mike White, who was not even taking snaps the other day in practice. Taryn Christensen, South Dakota State quarterback, who we signed just a month ago, was taking snaps over him. So it's safe to say the Mike White experiment in Dallas is over. But looking to the offensive line depth, since Tyron and Zach Martin aren't going to play, I'm going to be looking at Xavier Su'a-Filo and Adam Redmond. And just wide receiver-wise, I'm actually super pumped to see Devin Smith. Yes, that Devin Smith, former Jets second-round pick out of Ohio State. He's probably having the best preseason out of any wide receiver on the Cowboys. He wasn't really in the picture before the preseason started. Guys like John Bay Johnson and Reggie Davis were way higher up on the depth chart and in more in favor of the organization. But Devin Smith has absolutely had, well, I wouldn't say electric, but he's having a far superior preseason than those two. And with Noah Brown not reactivated from the PUP list yet, I think he has a legitimate chance to make the roster. And that's about it. Well,
Excellent.
Actually, defensively, yeah, we won't get on the defensive side just because, the Cowboys' first-string defense is going to be dominant. Top 5 unit, got a lot of depth. Kerry Hyder, Joe Jackson continues to impress. And, yeah, we'll just end it there before
you want Carly Lloyd? Are you looking to sign Carly Lloyd as your kicker?
If she can make 55, 35, and 40-yard field goals, I would love it because sure knows Brett Maher can't make 35-yard field goals. He's missed his only 2 kicks in the preseason so far. But on the positive side, he's 6 for 6 during practice. So, he's got some talent. No, he sucks.
Right. Perfect. Thank you, Kevin. I think the Secretary General is looking to find out what the latest price on Greenland is at this point.
No, he's not in the office. He never is. He's probably in the Bahamas drinking mojito.
Yeah, it's too bad. All right. Get out of here,
guys.
All right, James, let's finish out Saturday, 7:00 p.m. It is Lucas Oil Stadium, and it's the Chicago Bears at Indianapolis Colts. Now, what makes this one easier for you is the Chicago Sun-Times has reported that Frank Reich said on Wednesday morning he's going to bench most of his starters for Saturday's preseason game. And the Bears said, you know what? We're not playing any of our starters either. So there you go.
Yeah, and then with that, I have virtually nothing on the Bears, except for Carly Lloyd should probably swing through Chicago at some point. And if you're not doing anything for 16 weeks this fall and winter, you might want to swing through Soldier Field and attempt to be kicker for the Bears. Other than that, other than the kicker news, there is some somber news for Bears family and fans. Former Bears running back Cedric Benson passed away earlier this week in a motorcycle accident. There's a lot of pouring out and adulation, love and concerns to his family and friends on Twitter. So, I hate to leave it there, but that's all we have on the Bears right now. And Kyle Long is back at practice after swinging his helmet at a teammate, if that matters.
I don't think it does.
Hey, I'm scrounging here for Bears news. It's kind of hard other than kicking. For the Colts, virtual locks for the first 4 cornerback spots are down to Pierre Desir, Kenny Moore, Rock Ya-Sin, and Quincy Wilson. The bottom 1 or 2 spots on that depth chart is still up for grabs. Intriguing tight end battle at the bottom of the depth chart for rookie Hale Hingis and the athletic Ross Travis for the 4th spot. That's if, should they carry 4 tight ends. And wide receiver battle between Deion King, Chester Rogers, Will Pascal, and Marcus Johnson competing for spots as well. And, of course, offensive line depth is of concern here as well. LaRaven Clark has been shoddy working at left tackle. Guards Josh Andrews and even Boeheim or Boehm haven't been encouraging either. Rookie Jackson Barton looks like a project that needs serious development.
All right, 7:30 p.m. kickoff, MetLife Stadium, East Rutherford, New Jersey, New Orleans Saints at the New York Jets. Justin, can you handle this one for me?
Oh, you bet I can. Just real quick on the Colts game. Bummer about the offensive line. You need somebody to block for Jacoby Brissett all year. Anyway, on to the next one. This will probably be the only chance we get to see Drew Brees in the preseason, which kind of just point out is funny. So apparently Mitchell Trubisky doesn't need the reps. Drew Brees, though, he's got to get out there and get some work. I will never understand how those decisions are made. I think something, when we talk about backup QBs, which we do a lot on preseason games, we've talked about how Jacoby Brissett, a lot of us perceive him as one of the better backups in the league. The Saints, they have Teddy Bridgewater, and I do wonder if he might not be in that conversation as well. He was, I don't want to say going to be a franchise quarterback, but he looked like he had some potential before he just absolutely got mangled and missed 2 years of football. I'm glad to see that he seems to have carved out a niche for himself in the league. And for what I've seen from him as a backup, I think he could be a good number two. Now, in our write-up, we have here, I'm not sure, is that from Chris? Yeah, it is. He talks about how he thinks that he could be a good post-Breeze quarterback. I don't know if I would go that far, though. I don't think that even at his best, Bridgewater had a lot of limitations, but it seemed like he could be, a decent system guy. But you talk about one of the all-time best quarterbacks between him and a good quarterback is huge. And Teddy Bridgewater, I don't think at this point of his career post a starter. But this is a chance to see what he looks like. He didn't look good in week 2. Maybe he looks good in week 3 and makes me feel I can eat my words there. The other big question is going to be, as the return man, we have Deontay Harris, who has been absolutely terrific. The issue, though, is that he has been terrible as a wide receiver. So if he wants to actually make the roster, he's got to be able to show that he can do more than that. Pass rush, as always, is going to be an issue for the Saints because they're so offensive minded. That's key for them. Their whole MO is, get ahead and then stick the pass rushes on people and don't even have to worry about the run. So, Marcus Davenport, they're counting on a lot, but he hasn't looked good. Hopefully he gets a lot of reps in this one and starts to look decent. On the Jets side of the ball, Brandon Copeland's been suspended 4 games for PEDs. Le'Veon Bell won't play in this preseason, which, by the way, can we just say that Antonio Brown is the best thing to happen to Le'Veon Bell this offseason? Because, for all the craziness we're getting out of him, everybody's like, you hear people, training and doing all this stuff, and then Le'Veon Bell is just sending pictures from boats and is going on TV shows and has basically given any indication that he recalls that he still plays football. But that's all been fairly mundane compared to I froze my feet off and I don't like my hat anymore.
Wow.
Adam Gase hasn't said if he's going to use his starters. From what I can tell, historically, he lets his first teamers go into the second half, which is sort of the conventional approach. He may pull them during the second quarter. It sounds like we're going to see him at least a little bit, though. Apparently, the only thing Gase has told the starters is to be ready to go a half in a series, which, again, seems pretty par for the course. Outside of that, though, the Jets are a boring team with a bad roster. If this were a regular season game, we would be predicting a 40-3 drubbing. So who actually cares?
Solid point. So let's move on to the next game at 8:00 p.m. It is at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. It's the San Francisco 49ers, Kansas City Chiefs. Nick says the 49ers sucking. Seriously, the Chiefs hold the Niners second round pick from the D4 trade, so it would be great if Jimmy Garoppolo continues to be terrible. Kansas City will be picking at 32 and 33. Mark my words. The Niners, Jimmy G is going to be just fine. It's not going to. It's a long season, and there's plenty of time for Jimmy Garoppolo to finally show up. It was just a preseason game. Wide receiver running back DeAnthony Thomas was signed on Tuesday, walked in mid-practice, returned to kickoff for a touchdown. So he's a special teamer, knows the system. He'll be a gadget player. Wide receivers Byron Pringle and Cody Thompson. With that probably assured a spot, it may come at the expense of one of those two exciting wide receiver prospects. So let me tell you, the wide receiving pool for the XFL is sounding more awesome and awesome as we do more of these previews. Undrafted free agent cornerback Herb Miller looked like one of the best players in the secondary in the first half last week, then got burnt and showed the limits of his athleticism in the second half. So a strong game might win him a spot on the 53. Second-round rookie, a safety, Juan Thornhill, seems to have solidified his hold of the free safety spot and made some nice plays last week. So watch the rookie. SB Nation's Niners Nation has these players that they've highlighted to watch. Marcel Harris, who has been on the opposite end through 2 games. Against Dallas, Harris looked like he didn't belong on the roster. Against Denver, Harris looked like a player who flies around and makes plays. So we'll see what the entirely different offense in Kansas City and how that will set Harris moving forward. Nick Mullins, because if Jimmy Garoppolo is really going to suck, then Nick Mullins is your answer. Wow. That really could be a first-round draft pick. Jordan Matthews, Shanahan mentioned how the coaching staff would review how receivers played at some point during Wednesday and could shake things up. Matthews played with the first-team offense but didn't do anything to stand out. So if he's on the field to start when the Niners are in 11 personnel, that could be a sign that he'll be on the roster for good. Quan Alexander is the new guy and is expected to make his debut against Kansas City on the defensive side of the ball. Jeremiah Valoga going to sneak his way onto the roster. He's an edge rusher, 3 sacks, 2 hurries, and a quarterback hit in 2 preseason games, and has 7 run stops. So he seems to be the complete package, at least against backup players. Ross Reynolds, who has been in a couple of uninspiring games so far, but somebody on the line needs to step up. And Ross Reynolds is a guy that they're hoping for. Deebo Samuel, the wide receivers. This particular author is asking, what do the coaches need to see from the second-round pick to give him more playing time with the first unit? He's touched the ball 3 times in the preseason, and each went for first downs. And 2 of them have gone for more than 40 yards. So let's see if Deebo Samuel can do it against first-team defenses. Emmanuel Mosley could be the nickel cornerback to start the season. And Tevin Coleman, who's the guy I know MJ is disappointed is no longer in Atlanta, now in San Francisco, could be the guy that helps Jimmy Garoppolo get back on track, as he is a pretty good running back who can catch the ball. So let's see what Tevin Coleman can do and if he can build a rapport with Jimmy Garoppolo. Didn't I say the Saturday games, we were going to close them out a while ago? Oh, my God. They just keep going. 9:00 p.m., Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. It is the Denver Broncos at the L.A. Rams, James.
Yeah, some things to look for here is if the Rams offense can do anything against a, quote, stout Broncos defense. It's an opportunity for backup Blake Bortles to show that he actually belongs in this league, considering Denver shut down Jimmy Garoppolo last week in their preseason game. And could be some opportunities here for him to prove that he still belongs in the league. Another concern for the Rams, Bryce Hager, expanded role in the defense now that Micah Kaiser is out indefinitely following surgery to repair a torn left pec. Hager is expected to handle those duties, at least for the remainder of the preseason. Couple of let's see here. And running back John Kelly, how much will he contribute while everyone's slurping up Darrell Henderson in the backup running back role? Kelly only had 5 carries for 11 yards and 1 catch in the last preseason game. So the opening gets more work this weekend. For the Broncos, a lot of talk about special teams here, punter, kicker, long snapper. I'm going to skip all that. Again, recurring theme here is setting the depth on the offensive line. Ron Leary still limited to approximately half of the team snaps in practice during the joint sessions. So they still need to make sure their interior offensive line depth is settled. Elijah Wilkinson.